Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and since I'm doing the Sylvester Stallone marathon, I actually was going to skip this movie. In fact, I've pre-recorded some videos for later, and who knows, maybe in some of those future videos that I've, again, pre-recorded, I might have said I was going to skip this one, because I'm like, well, I want to do it for birthday month of May. The point is, to do it within the month. Will I have time? But then I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. It's Sylvester Stallone, my favorite action star and actor. I want to get to as many as I can, no matter how long it takes. And even on Facebook, I mentioned, well, I'm not going to review this film. I saw it once before with my friend Mike OCP. It was a piece of shit. But then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to change my mind because I'm going to give it another shot. I watched it online. And because he directed it. He wrote it. He has a cameo in it. His brother Frank Stallone he does some songs for the film. And it's the only film he directed that he did not star in. As for writing, it's one of two movies that he wrote that he did not star in. He wrote this. He also wrote Homefront with Jason Statham, which he was not in. I did not like that movie either. Although, granted, I don't like Homefront, but I would still rather watch it than this. But Homefront's still crappy. So, okay, Stallone, he directed it, he wrote it, he has a cameo. It's the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, which I've only seen clips, bits and pieces of, to the point of I don't remember seeing it from beginning to end. I know I should, but just life gets in the way. Just never came up. So I can't be reviewing this in the vein of, oh, I love the first film, so I gotta judge it as a sequel. No, I'm judging this sequel on its own merit. Merit. And I guess they got Stallone to direct this because they figure, well, he directed Rocky sequels. Rocky 2 was 79, Rocky 3 was 82. So they thought, well, he directed some popular sequels of Rocky. Maybe he'll get him to direct a sequel of Saturday Night Fever. I think at this point, John Travolta's life, he was not doing too well. He was in pretty bad shape physically. And at least one good thing came out of this was that Stallone got with John Travolta into the best shape he's ever been in his life. And this film was a hit. I mean, it gets ridiculed a lot for good reason, but it was a hit. I mean, it was in the top 10 biggest films of 1983, which pisses me off because there's a lot of films in 1983 that deserved to make more money. Uncommon Valor, to me, one of the most underrated films ever, with Gene Hackman and Patrick Swayze and Fred Ward and Randall Tetzcobb and Tim Thomerson. That's a fantastic movie, Uncommon Valor. That deserved to make more money than this piece of shit. And it only made money because it was a sequel to Saturday Night Fever. It was, which is a popular 70s movie, of course. I think it's one of Gene Siskel's, it was one of his favorite films, if not maybe his favorite film of all time. And Blue Thunder, I think that was 83. That deserved, I forget how much money that made, but if it didn't make more than this, it deserved it. War Games, much better movie, deserved a lot more money than this bullshit. Uncommon Valor deserved a lot more than this bullshit. And why do I say it's bullshit? It has the most, first off, the insane fucking finale I've seen in a while, where John Travolta's character of Tony is at this Broadway musical called Satan's Alley that I don't know how the fuck to describe this. I would say someone was on acid, but I would not know if that was the people who made it or if it was me that was on acid. Just type up Staying Alive, Satan's Alley on YouTube, or Staying Alive 1983 ending, or probably Staying Alive 1983 Satan's Alley. Just type it up, watch it, and you tell me what the fuck I just saw. You tell me what the fuck I'm watching. You tell me what in the flying fuck is this? Where it's like John Travolta before Flashdance, what she did, let's have Travolta do it. Scantily clad, with just barely anything on, and there's people in cages. You have background players that have these black outfits that sometimes I'm like, are they the fucking Gimp from Pulp Fiction? Are they all Gimps? The John Travolta and this woman gyrate in front of purple lights, and they leap around in slow motion. At one point, John Travolta does like a karate kick in slow motion, and uh, it begins with Travolta being brought down, tied up, and from the ceiling, and then people on the ground with all the smoke around, putting their arms up as if they're fucking zombies from the ground. And you have people in fucking cages, and at one point you have a ton of folks whipping John Travolta and tying him up, and then the woman, all this red light, and I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? I'm like, what in the fuck? And Stallone is proud of this movie. How do I know that? If you watch the Blu-ray of the Expendables director's cut, there's a feature where Stallone talks about some of the movies he's directed, including this one. And he says even though he didn't really know anything about music and dancing, he's like, well, why do they have me directing it? Uh, he said he was proud of it. And the reason that dumbfounds me, I mean, granted, if he wants to be proud of it, more power to him. But you want to be proud of this, but not Daylight? But not Lockup? But not Tango and Cash? But not Dick Carter? To me, all way better movies than this? Is it just because he directed it? I mean, the rest of the film, I guess when you see the film, are you really into a lot of dancing? Of course, if it's just you did a lot of dancing, the 80s aerobic style clothes. The soundtrack I honestly thought was pretty mediocre. I noticed the Bee Gees and Frank Stallone. The opening song I don't mind by Frank Stallone. I don't mind the song, but it's not like a song I would put on an MP3 player. The rest of the songs, it's not that I thought they were awful. It's just like, eh. And you just, tired. I mean, of course, it's a dance movie. If you're not into dance movies like me, I'm not really into dance films. You're not really going into it. The only reason I'm reviewing it is because I'm doing a Sylvester Stallone marathon for my month of my birthday, and he directed this and wrote it, and he had a cameo in it. So here we go. And of course, it was released the fucking year I was born, in 1983. The year I was born, this shit came out. And Travolta, I mean, I don't think Travolta was awful. I know the Razzies, which fuck the Razzies. I never liked the Razzies anyway. They gave him like the worst acting performance of the year, and I'm thinking if I look through all the films in 1983, I can find worse than what John Travolta did. It's just the material he was given, where it's just not. I'm sorry, I love you, Sly, but this is just fucking bullshit. Yeah, because the fucking opening scene where Travolta doing this, and Kurtwood Smith from fucking RoboCop is watching, and then he like disappears when he tells Travolta to go because he's trying out for something. He doesn't get it, and he has a couple jobs. He's helping teach dance. He's a waiter. He'll wash his clothes in the shower, and he has this kind of relationship with Cynthia Rhodes. I like Cynthia Rhodes. I love her in Runaway with Tom Selleck. I reviewed that film. I love that film very much. Much more than this. You get weird dialogue. I mean, when he's being a waiter and this woman says, "Guys like you aren't relationships. You're exercise. You can exercise on my face all you want. Doesn't make me like your movie." At about 10 minutes in, you get Stallone's cameo where Travolta is on a sidewalk. He bumps into Sly, and Sly keeps walking this way and kind of turns around for a sec and keeps on walking. He has this weird coat. I mean, granted, it's 1983, but this weird like coat with tassels or what? I don't know what it is. And he's like at one point trying to go for acting gigs, which was that something he tried to do in Saturday Night Fever, or did Stallone put that in as an autobiography as an actor trying to get a job? Because there is a moment where John Travolta goes, except for nudity, I promised my mother I'd never do nudity. I guess she worried I'd get cold or something. Of course, Stallone did the Italian Stallion, Party of Titty and Studs. But I mean, the character he plays, I don't know if he's a fucking jerkwad in Saturday Night Fever. If he is, then he made no development. If he isn't, then he got worse. Okay, if he is, then I guess by the end of that film, he made no development, at least based on this. There's even a point in the movie where he apologizes to his mom pretty much for being a dick in the past, and she literally fucking goes, "Hey, you being that way got you out of this neighborhood. You being selfish got you out of this neighborhood." And John Travolta says something to the effect of, "Oh, I've always been this bastard, but it's fine because it always came natural to me." And the mom's like, "Yeah, don't apologize." I'm like, so the concept of the movie is be a dick because you can get far in life? Is that what the point of the movie? By that dialogue? "Yeah, you always been this bastard, but it's fine because it came natural for me." What? What? Like, so, I mean, he treats Cynthia Rhodes like shit. Like, there's a point where she's dancing, but he's not watching her at all. He's watching this other woman that he gets to know who has an accent, this uptight bitch. And then he like tells Cynthia Rhodes, "Oh, you did good, you did fantastic, but you were watching this other girl the whole time." And then by the end, I don't buy them getting back together because he's still a dick, a selfish prick. And I'm like, you get montages of Travolta and that girl with the accent dancing. He's able to get the audition for this new Broadway play called Satan's Alley. Quite a few sequences of training on dancing. So if you're not into that, like I am, you're going to be really fucking bored throughout the hour and 30 some minutes of the movie. There's a lot of people like Travolta in tight uniforms, ready to see his package come out of his fucking tights and doing, swans and a bunch of this and this and this. And granted, I will give credit. Travolta, you could tell he studied hard. He was very flexible. He did his movements. He wasn't clunky. I'll give credit to that. It's just, it looks goofy as fuck. Maybe that's how they do in real life. Okay, I'm not really much into dancing. I could deal with, I mean, at least to this nature. And you just get bored, and I just feel embarrassed for John Travolta, honestly. I really do. I'm like, I'll take John Travolta and Broken Arrow, which I love Broken Arrow to death. Like I said in my review, it's one of my favorite 90s action films. Take Travolta and Pulp Fiction, which is a great movie. But Grease, I like Grease. That has dancing. I like Grease. I do. I like Grease. I like the songs. There's a bit of dancing. Better dancing to me than this. It's fucking normal. And the movie just seems like it goes fucking nowhere to me. Cynthia Rhodes doesn't want anything to do with Travolta for good reason, because he's a fucking prick who's with her, but is pretty much trying to go for this other uptight dancer bitch. And then Cynthia Rhodes kind of with Frank Stallone, but kind of not. At one point, she's singing with Frank Stallone on stage. Uh, and Travolta abandons Rhodes for like an asshole. And he visits that type girl and he has this white suit as if he's cropped it from fucking Miami Vice. And, his girlfriend leaves him, of course, and that's where he visits his mom. You get that weird, like, this attitude guy out of this neighborhood. Oh, I always been a bastard. It's fine. And more of them practicing their dancing with some weird ass fucking music. Like this one song is like, dance, burn, fire. I'm like, fuck you, movie, eat my balls, shit on a dick, you fucking prick. A lot of practicing of this fucking dancing, this fucking boring shit. Slow-mo dancing with Travolta and Cynthia Rhodes in these 80s aerobic clothes. Dance practice with the uptight dancer. Then you get Satan's Alley, which I explained is fucking insane. Again, it's like, did whoever made it did acid, Stallone, or did I do acid? And it's this fucking Travolta barely has anything on. He's getting whipped by people in black gimp outfits and purple lights. Then he starts to go off the page and do this like solo dancing. And then he gets on this pedestal and tells the uptight dancer, come on! She leaps up to him in slow-mo, and then he lifts her up, and then people are like, yeah! And I'm like, is this what Broadway is? I mean, I've never really been to Broadway, but I figure there's probably, I don't know. For people who are familiar with Broadway, could you see Satan's Alley being on Broadway? You tell me. If you never saw, look it up. Just put Satan's Alley Staying Alive. You'll find it. And then they did well, and he's with Cynthia Rhodes again. I'm like, no, Cynthia Rhodes, you could do better. John Travolta's character, he didn't really learn any lessons. He didn't really become a better human being. He's still a selfish prick. He even leaves his fucking girlfriend. He's like, you know what I gotta do? You know what I gotta do? Strut. Leaves her girlfriend there, and it's like, and then he just struts to staying alive, staying alive. I know that's from Saturday Night Fever, the Bee Gees. I don't mind that song. And then he freeze frames, and then he disappears as if he's a fucking ghost or he's a fucking angel. Like, this is the prequel to City Angels, only you'll be played by Nicolas Cage. It's fucking shit. And I know a lot of, it gets like a 4.5 on IMDb. It deserves it, or lower. It's, if I did a worst of Stallone, I would only do a list of what he starred in. Like a top 10 worst of what he starred in, but, or as an actor, because that's usually how I think of Stallone as an actor. But if I did include everything, this would be on it. I mean, hell, I would rather watch, I hate saying this because I think it's a piece of shit, I would watch The Expendables 3 over Staying Alive, and I fucking hate Expendables 3. I'd rather watch Bullet to the Head over this movie, and I fucking hate Bullet to the Head, and I still do hate those movies, because I saw them again recently, and I still fucking hate them because they're disappointing. This is, I mean, but at least Bullet to the Head, I hate it, but Stallone is good. Everything else around sucks. Expendables 3 I fucking hate, but at least I can watch Harrison Ford and Mel Gibson and just some people going bang Right? It's lame, but it's at least people going Bane instead of people going this and fucking Satan's out. I mean, there was a point when I was watching that. I'm like, is this good in a mesmerizingly bad way, or is it just like I never want to see it again? Staying alive is what you feel like you need to. It's like that's not just a title. That's a survival aspect. And watching this movie and people, it's not that bad. Good on you then. You can keep the movie, put it in your pocket. Fuck this. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Staying alive. Fuck.